Down to Congressman McCormick. Sir, you are recognized for 5 minutes for your questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. By the way, Mr. Chair, I appreciate you talking about the legal authority between the executive and the legislative branches of who gets to delegate what authority there is to begin with. That's what's really concerning with me. As a matter of fact, in the last couple of years, what we've seen is the legislative branch being overrun by the executive branch being able to tell us where we invest our IRA savings, where the DOD gets to advertise, whether we have some modifications on our weapons. I think it's interesting when we talk about this. I realize that there's an alarming overreach by the executive branch that's unchecked and unconstitutional. As a matter of fact, I would say that maybe the new moniker should be King Joe, based on the way he's acting without any authorization from a balanced government system that we designed by our Constitution. For those of you who want to talk science, I heard what you guys had to say, somebody talking about global warming. Let's talk to science for a second. I'm a scientist, MD, MBA. I've done some classes, probably just like you guys. One of the things that I don't understand when it comes to carbon emissions, because that's what we're talking about, right? We're not producing methane. Now, animals are and land waste and stuff like that. But we're going to talk about carbon emissions. What is the atmosphere made of, primarily? Overwhelmingly, nitrogen, right? Then oxygen. What's the percentage of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere? Anybody want to answer that? Nobody wants to answer that. Scientifically, it's an easy question. 5 minutes on Google. 78% nitrogen, 21% oxygen. Carbon dioxide is 0.04%. Of that, what percentage comes from man-made? Of that 0.04, anybody want to answer that? Google will tell you. It's around 11%. So 11% of 0.04% is produced by man-made, but that's what we're focused all of our attention on. That's what's caused global warming. That retention by that 0.04% of the carbon emissions that we are 11% of is what we're debating here. The hundreds of billions of dollars we want to put in to prevent that, and that's going to prevent global warming and cooling, because we're talking about environmental change, which could be either. And over the millennium, I just recently watched say that it's the hottest month in 100,000 years, based on one scientific evidence. What reporting did we have around the world 100,000 years ago? I didn't see that Egyptian hieroglyphic. Did you? No answers. When I ask scientists all the time, no answers on how we are producing this climate change. I'm not saying there's not climate change. I'm not saying there's not scientific things we can do to keep a clean environment. I'm the son of a forest ranger. I believe in a clean environment. I will be the first one to pick up trash in the street when I walk by it. But let's not get carried away and limit our ability to get things done, to keep our global leadership instead of globalism. Mr. Fanning, you made a great point. A foreign entity who gets to tell the United States what's going on based on an executive order. Do you consider that globalism?
I don't know that I would try to label it globalism or something else. I'm just concerned that it puts other nations in the decision process and what our Pentagon should buy to defend the country.
I couldn't agree with you more. As a matter of fact, if you're going to be King Joe, I don't know why you'd put the power back in somebody else's opinion. Now you talk about Mr. Rothenstein, other people in the world having the same criteria. When we put ourselves on par with everybody else, are we putting ourselves in jeopardy of actually being reined in by other countries?
Congressman, first, thank you for your public service and for your question. We're not on par. We're the greatest country in the world.
Amen. We agree on that.
I believe is actually patriotic to think about our taxpayers, think about our national defense, to think about our climate, which scientists agree across the board that. And
okay, let me interrupt you there, please. Scientists agree across the board. I debate that science because I read scientists from both sides, just like I do on economic policy. Not everybody believes in modern monetary theory. Not all scientists believe that we are the cause of global warming. Now, we like to pretend like that's the case, and the president, King Joe likes to say that we have scientists in universal agreement. That's simply not true. I'm out of time, but I want to make a point that we have silenced people who dissent from King Joe, and I think that's a big problem today, and we need to address that first. Thank you. With that, I yield.